that into the little thing I prepared later, but I think we should just dive in and giving some context of the complexity, like Mike said, of this situation, because at this point it is so complex and so dynamic. There are so many moving parts into this puzzle because there are so many different agendas that XYZ Groups has as a catalyst of the George Floyd murder.
And that complexity to address from the press story that leads to a disservice to a complex issue. People that try to dividing and active. I think this is a good time to lead into the first monologue that I wrote, which is about here. One is what's happening, and one is those at home on Twitter and watching the news are seeing a very different one. I tweeted the other day, misinformation is one of the biggest instigators of evil right now. I watched over the past couple days and right push one side of the story to promote their political or ideological goals. Without saying any names, certain people on the right place all blame on Antifa thugs, which we'll get into, while steering clear of violent cops, white supremacists, and most importantly, how to solve the problem that started these riots in the first place. Certain people on the left place all the blame on violent police without calling out opportunistic looters and anarchists. Let me help you all out. Actors who turn these protests violent, no matter what hate group they align with, are to blame. Cops who use brutal forces against peaceful protesters are to blame. The cops that then protect those cops are to blame. Opportunistic looters, both black and white, who steal from family-owned businesses are to blame. Pundits on the left and right who tell one-sided stories that pander to their base and drive further division are to blame. The president who threatens military fucking action against U.S. citizens instead of offering words of calm, peace, and systemic change during painful times is to blame. With a million micro issues in play, the biggest problem this country faces right now is accountability. Everyone is so busy pointing their fingers at someone else that they have forgotten to fix the real issue: themselves. And like we already discussed at the beginning of this episode, there's a million issues at play here. But you have seen people on the left and right take opportunity after opportunity to turn this into a one-sided story to further their own goals.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. I watched this documentary called The 13th last night, and actually in this thing I prepared later, I took some of the facts I learned out of the beginning from that, and it's fascinating to me how much people in general, specifically in this movie, politicians will bend their moral code to get fucking elected.
Yeah.
To get a vote, and people are no different. Like, I hate to say this, but I've had this extremely uncomfortable feeling in people this past weekend. I've started to stop believing in humanity because people are so greedy and exercising the worst sides of themselves because they can take advantage of peaceful protests and start looting and rioting, and none of it is right. And I can't believe how many people. I mean, what are some of the groups that you see at these protests? Like, I want you to elaborate, like, some of the groups and their agendas when it comes to taking advantage of what's happening in the country right now.
So at the protests, which have turned into riots, or some people call them separate riots, there are multitudes of groups, and each one of them is to blame for the good and bad that happens. You've got peaceful, good police officers out there, understanding that the country is in pain, standing their ground to protect places, but not pepper spraying citizens at will through the windows of their car.
Goodness.
Not driving their police cars through barricades where people are standing. Not pushing 90-year-old people that are standing at the bus stop. I saw a cop push a 90-year-old with a cane on the ground.
There's way more to that story,
There
but
are good cops out there who are standing with the protesters, walking with the protesters. So you've got them. You've got the good cops. Then you've got the bad cops, the racist cops, the authoritarian cops, the police state cops, the brutal police that are the same as the one that started this in the first place. So you've got good and bad cops. You've got peaceful protesters. You've got that are the real winners here. The people marching, the people pushing for systemic change, holding signs, activating the base, talking about what they can do to fix the problem, but still calling for peace. And then you've got hate groups. You've got Antifa. I'm not claiming that they don't exist. I'm not claiming that the anti-fascist group as it exists in America right now is not out there causing problems. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that there's white supremacists out there on the other side. There's Proud Boys. There are multiple groups of people who stand to further divide this country and to drive the dialogue of hate. My issue on Twitter and my issue for the past week has been that our president and other people like him on the other side. Sorry, we got some sound.
What is it?
Is it coming
Is it
through?
a jet?
Can someone check on it? Maybe Eve or David?
Bro, I thought that was a jet. I thought the National Guard was coming
Sorry,
in for sure. I thought that was a drone.
I'm okay.
Bro, well, I mean, we've been seeing the helicopters. I've been seeing helicopters do like barrel rolls in the sky. Not I'm exaggerating, but they're taking curves and turns sharper
Do
than
we
I've ever
want?
seen.
Are we cutting all this out?
No.
Oh, we're gonna keep it. Okay. You've had people on both sides, hate groups on both sides, pushing their own personal agendas forward, and you've had pundits on both sides calling out one group or the other. They're all to blame. All of these people are doing a disservice. And I'm getting it. And then you've got opportunistic rioters and anarchists. I have, since the beginning of this, stood up and been unable to condemn people who have torched symbols of systemic hate. People went and burned down the Sisters of Confederacy building. I applaud you. I applaud you for pulling down the statues of the Confederates who drove division in this country. I applaud you. Even as far, and this is where it gets close, as the courthouses that have served the black community unjustly for decades, that have passed sentences down that were unfair and not justified by law in this country. But when you start burning and looting family-owned grocery stores, personal-owned businesses that people, even black people and Hispanics in LA, have worked their entire lives to get to a point where they can own a business, and you break the windows and you steal stuff out of it. That is where someone like me, who vastly understands the cause you are after and fights alongside you, that is where I draw the line. When you start to violently attack people, both black and white and Asian and Hispanic, that defend their possessions, that they have worked their lives for, that is where I draw the line.
please come by. Shit, bro. Please come by. I beg you. Okay, we have one on air. I'm assuming this is Jake. So welcome back to How to Win Every Single Game. I'm kidding. I needed to free build just so I get something to do while I talk. So Jake, one thing you gotta do in this is you gotta hear me out, okay? So me and Vonnie were talking, and I think that drugs should be legal. And here's why. It should not be the government's decision of what people put into their bodies. That is my main reason. There's a lot of others, but my main reason is it's not the government's decision to tell us what we should and shouldn't put into our bodies. The same way as obesity. People die of obesity illness all the time, and yet the government still doesn't ban eating a certain amount of food. You know why? Because people can take their own precautions. Same with alcohol. You know how many people ruin relationships and die of alcohol a year? But alcohol is still legal because people can take their own precautions. Plus, there's people at Lehigh, there's people at Ponderosa. Every single high school, kids are getting drugs, so it's easier than you think. The same with guns. In London, they banned guns, but yet, criminals are still finding ways to get guns. So, I'm not saying that we should make it legal because the government's not doing a good job. It's just not the government's job to tell us what we can put in our bodies. So, you can write in the chat whatever you want. I always read the chat. That is my mainstream opinion, and I didn't think of it. I had this debate with my mom, and I was on the side that Vonnie is right now. I was like, what? But the more you think about it, the more you're open-minded to it, and Vonnie got too far into the argument to change his mind. He knows if he changes his mind, I'm gonna be like, oh, Vonnie, I'm so much smarter than you, I knew you'd change. He got way too far into the argument to change his mind now. So you gotta make a decision now before you get too far into the argument to change your mind and be stubborn. And if I'm still saying Vonnie could still think this, he still could think, but part of me thinks that he knows that's not the government's job to tell us what we can and can't put into our bodies. It's just not. So if you want, you can type in the chat. I do read chat, I do respond, I do all this. But I refuse to believe that drugs should be illegal because it's bad. You know? It's not the government's job to tell us, and people still get drugs. People who do drugs do drugs. Do you guys realize that? People who do drugs in the United States do drugs. How do they do drugs if it's illegal? And it shouldn't be illegal just because they're doing drugs. But what I'm trying to say is it's not the government's job on what we should put into our bodies. It's not. So yeah, that's my opinion. But yeah, you can think whatever you want. Your opinion on the situation would be nice, but like what do you think? Are you like doing, I don't know if you're like doing research or even paying attention, but it shouldn't be the job of the government. Again, I was just watching a Logan Paul segment on his Impulsive. It's the first one I ever watched. It was titled America is Racist. And that was the first one I was going to do. We were going to listen to that on my speaker, and I was going to give my opinion. But, I mean, if Bonnie wants to give my opinion, I would love to tell you my opinion, Jake. And it doesn't even have to be long. You can just give me yours, and you can move on, really whatever you want. The government's job, make sure you're paying your taxes. I don't know, there's more specifics. The government does have a lot of duty. I'm very libertarian, which means I don't like the government up my ass 24/7. But I could see the government taking some responsibilities of some things, but not telling us what. You want to tell me why people are dying of obesity illness? It's because they choose. It's because they choose to eat super unhealthy. My aunt is obese. My cousin Luke, he has special needs because his real mom, he's adopted. He's black, by the way. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm just making that clear. He's black and he agrees with me. He's super pro-Trump. He's just a super cool kid. He is very talkative and very nosy, and he has special needs. He's like Mackenzie. Kind of. Not even. But he agrees with me. He thinks it was his mom's decision to take those drugs. It's not anyone else's fault. She shouldn't be punished. It was her decision to get drunk, have sex. It's not, I don't know, it's weird. I just don't think it should be the government's decision of what we can and can't put in our body. Again, the government, if you're not paying your taxes, it's not like the government has the choice to make me pay. That's different. Your taxes run through the economy. If you didn't pay taxes, you wouldn't have roads. Again, I do think some taxes are useless, but I don't think that the government is useless. I think a bunch of their laws are stupid. In New York, they have you can only drink like a certain amount of Coke and Pepsi, but you can get like lemonade and Mountain Dew, like Coke and Pepsi. That's what. And then that shouldn't be their job to. Again, Coke and Pepsi is way different than drugs. I agree, but it's still the same concept. The government shouldn't be telling us what to do with our own bodies. That is my opinion. Again, you can holy bro. Well, I don't want to sit here and free build, so the same people that are here to criticize me on my point of views are also the ones that edit 6 hours on their videos and get 6 views. Let's look up I'm a Genius. This is going on the internet, by the way. So we have to fucking shit ass. Genius. Am I already no, I don't subscribe to those people. Let's see here, guys. Games a lot. So 45 subscribers, 25 videos. Bro, I don't try on YouTube. Okay, you edit this.
We pretended to be henchmen and protect Midas' world. It actually went pretty well, and we got some crazy gameplay. So make sure to watch them, and also, if you could subscribe, it would mean the world to me. Without further ado, let's get into the video. That'll be well, Fluffy. Alright, we gotta get inside, really.
Damn, holy. They critique my shit. Holy. That's a bunch of bullcrap. He runs in here. Yeah. I know.
I'm about to show you the quickest and easiest
No
method
way,
anybody
dude.
can make a steady income in the stock.
Yeah, dude, I already invested in that, bro. What? Every single time I plug that, it doesn't go. Obesity isn't a choice? It's a sickness? Let's look this up. How many obese people chose to be obese? We're looking it up. .6% is obese sickness, and about 39.8 is obesity who chose to eat a bunch of crap, and then the other percent are people that are just overweight who also choose. Obesity and overweight are different. Obesity is like you're going up to my 600-pound life. Overweight is still the same statistic, almost. They're still up in the 30 to 40%. They only 7.6 of overweight/obesity people are diagnosed with a sickness or bad genetics. So if you want to look at that statistic, we can go. There's another one. Is obesity genetic? Like many other medical conditions, obesity is a result of interplay between environmental and genetic factors. I agree. Studies have identified variants in several genes that may contribute to weight gain and body fat distribution, although only a few cases in the genes are primary cause of obesity. My point. So Ryan Phelps, let's just say, she's an example. She might eat a ton of crap, but so do I, and I'm not that big. I don't know how big her mom or dad is. I think her dad's actually pretty healthy. But I think she might have genetics. I don't think that she gained all that weight. from eating a bunch of crap. I think a lot of it is, but if you want to show the statistic where it's saying, unlike the one I just gave you, where it's saying that a lot, only 7.6% of obesity or overweight people are genetically given to them or passed down through genes with the help of eating like dog food. Every single episode of My 600 Pound Life, you know how they got there? It's gross how they got there. Eating 20 times a day at Burger King. You know why McDonald's is known for being like the place you go to get fat? Because every time you go, people who are fat in line are there. According to they have a body cam on, complaining to the people that got 10 chicken nuggets instead of 9. Sorry, 9 chicken nuggets instead of 10. And half the body cam is covered up from their belly weight. Prove me wrong. Again, I just showed you a statistic, so if you want to say that obesity is a sickness, that's a different thing. Obesity is a sickness. Anyone who's obese probably struggles with sickness. It's not a choice. It's not a choice. 7.6 is a choice, is what they identified as. But even, it literally said, I'll read it again. Studies have identified that variants in several genes that contribute to weight gain. So genes that contribute to weight gain and body fat distribution. You guys know the thing. Distribution, I can't read, although only in few cases are they the primary cause of obesity. It says about 1.2% of the 7.6 of genetically Yep. Wait, if you look up on Wikipedia, is Wikipedia a reliable source? Vonnie talks smack about my dad's wealth. Well, my dad worked for his money, just like Vonnie's dad. I don't see the problem. You want to talk smack about dad's wealth? Your dad bought you an Xbox when I was over. You know what I had to do to get this PS4? I had to go through quarantine, which sucked for me. What'd you have to do? You had to cry about it to your dad. Dad, I want a PS4. Dad, I want an Xbox. And then when he made your sister get the skin, you almost cried about it. He said, that's the whole reason why I got the Xbox. For the Fortnite skin. And then you had to cry about it to your dad, so then he'd soften up on you because he spoils you. You know all the skins I have? I work for this money, bro. Mowing lawns, walking dogs. Chores. I make like $5 a month off of chores. Ever since I started working, they lowered my allowance to like 30 bucks a month. It used to be like 100. I started working. Got my ass up, stopped playing Minecraft 20 hours a day. So yeah, go ahead, talk shit about dad's wealth. None of that really matters. Your dad's wealth is gonna get you to college. And then gonna get you a good job. And then you're gonna make money and you're gonna come over to me and you're gonna be like, hey, how much money are you making? Oh, well, my dad doesn't kiss my ass, you know? Dad, I want an Xbox. Okay, well, let's get you an Xbox. I remember I had to beg you, Vonnie. I had to beg Vonnie to say, thank you, Dad, I love you, at the checkout. I said, bro, you just got an Xbox. We get to his dad's condo, and then since you were complaining about something, your dad started ranting off on you because Dolce apparently never begs for stuff, and you always do. That's the words came out of his mouth. He's always buying you stuff, and you're never grateful. And then when he buys it for Dolce, she's actually grateful. And then you said, and Dolce said she wanted since you got the Xbox, and you said that was the only reason why I got it. Brother, you got it for a skin, my guy, and you know it too. Yeah, you use that thing a lot, but you don't even play the game anymore. Oh my goodness, got it. The kids like you just live off your daddy's money. Get a what car for your birthday? Yeah, I'm gonna need a 4.0 GPA to get that. Oh, and someone's actually in the live. I didn't even notice. Someone's in the live. Hearing me talking crap. I promise I thought nobody was in the live. I would have shut my mouth. I would have shut my mouth. I would have shut my mouth. I don't know who this is. I promise I would have shut my mouth. I know. I know he's not even watching, Jake. I just ran off on my live streams. I didn't even know anyone was watching, Jake. I thought you left. And now Vonnie's gonna get loads of money. And then be like, Harry, look where I am now. Like, you don't have a work ethic. Yeah, any conservative has a work ethic. Yes. But am I wrong? Guess who bought him all of his Fortnite skins? Probably him. And if it wasn't, it was off an allowance. I'm not allowed to use my money. I'm not allowed to use my allowance money for video games. I can only use it if I'm like going to a friend's house or going to Sky Zone or doing something where I need to pay for myself. Going to a school basketball game and like wanting to pay for snacks, that's allowance money. 30 bucks a month. And you are sitting here complaining that you get an Xbox only for a skin. Build your entire setup, flex on me with your $160 mouse pads that I couldn't give 2 double F's about. And you're sitting here dogging on my dad for going off on liberals on my daddy's wealth. Holy mother. The hypocrisy. Was that a joke? Am I ranting for no reason? No matter if I'm ranting for no reason, he still complained that he got an Xbox because he didn't get the skin. And he had to beg his dad. His dad finally gave him the skin. Like, please, let's talk about daddy's wealth. Let's talk about our daddy's money. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'd love that. Oh my, I'm literally, I'm having no Christian attitude right now. I should shut my mouth. Sit here and talk about daddy's money. You know why I don't go to Southeast anymore? Yep. You know why I don't have a huge gaming setup? I still beg. I beg and beg for $16 Thanks. Oh, Harry, just say. I don't want to spend my money on that. You know, you think your parents buy you all this like smack? I don't have smack on Jake. Jake, I could care less what your dad buys you. I could honestly care less what Jake, if you're still in here, I could give 2 L's of what your daddy buys you. You know why? Because I think you're grateful, and I think if your dad just wanted to go out and buy you Xboxes for a Fortnite skin, I think that you would be grateful, and I think in the moment you would have gave that skin to your sister instead of whining about it. And I also think that you have really good work ethic, and I think you get really good grades, which just shows that even though your grades don't matter, they teach you, getting good grades teaches you what life is all about, perseverance, even when it doesn't matter. So I could care less if your dad bought you all the Lambos in the world. It's just when you're ungrateful and then you go around talking smack about daddy's wealth, right? Your daddy, flex on liberal, like, what do you say, flex on liberals with your dad's wealth? Oh, I've been ranting for like half an hour. That just pisses me off. I literally was supposed to be in my first podcast. Instead, Vonnie sits here on his little phone that his dad, my dad actually bought my phone. I'm not actually gonna say anything. Dude, I done got a PS4. My new one that I got it this quarantine. The one I got one last was like 4 years, and that was everyone. You got, I don't know what type of Xbox it was the newest one, and I remember your dad spent like $1,300. Not even. It was like $700 to $900. Just so you could whine on your little ass and then go into group chats and start pooping on kids for flexing their dad's wealth. Oh my. I'm done. I can't. I'm gonna get beef with Vonnie so his mom can. I just need to shut my mouth before I say something really rude. And then I have no one to blame except myself. Like, I would have been right in this thing if I didn't say that. You know? If Vonnie wants to tell his mom, he can now because I freaking screwed up and talked smack. I should have just shut my mouth, done what he did wrong, and then I would have been right, but instead I just had to keep talking. My goodness, man. I think I'm just gonna review the Logan Paul thing. I don't care if people are watching. The funny thing about it is, Jake, I don't know if even you're still in here anymore. Are you? Yeah, you are. I didn't even know you were in the chat when I was going off. I was just so pissed at Vonnie for whining. Oh, I just tried playing Claw right there. But that's all I was gonna say. You know, I don't. By the way, if this Logan Paul thing is gonna be really boring for you, Blake, because you're gonna have to sit here watching me go like this, because instead of pulling it up, I only have the audio. So I'm actually gonna pull this up real quick. So let's see. Let's see, I'm pulling it up. I don't know how far I was into the video, but I'm
vastly
yeah, here it is. He's got his buddy on the side. I don't mind Logan Paul. I think he's cool now. I haven't watched his video, any one of his videos, since the whole incident with the Japan thing. But yeah, just like any 11-year-old kid at the time, I was obsessed with him. And then he screwed up, and then I haven't seen a video since. This is the first video, so I'm actually kind of interested in what goes on. Okay.
America is racist.
Oh, starting off strong.
Listen carefully to what I said. America is racist.
Okay, so now's the intro.
Let's just start talking about something. Here it is. Fuck. Okay. Shit. I can do it.
You're doing great.
I can do it.
It's a good start.
It's just tricky because this will be a heavy episode. Last episode was a heavy episode. It's also going to be one of the most impactful, important, and impulsive episodes we've ever had. So, I implore you to listen very closely to what we say. More so, I
I'm
implore
listening,
you to
I
take
promise.
action. Or if something we say during this podcast inspires you, motivates you to do something, to progress you.
Okay, I'm gonna skip past the video to where I was, and basically this sums up all the shit. So basically, this kid, Logan, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Logan Paul basically goes through saying, silence is violence, Trump's a problem because he sends military to riots. So we're gonna go ahead and skip through to right here.
Real issue themselves. And like we already discussed at the beginning of this episode, there's a million issues at play here. But you have seen people on the left and right take opportunity after opportunity to turn this into a one-sided story to further their own goals.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I watched this documentary called The 13th last night, and actually in this thing I prepared later, I took some of the facts I learned out of the beginning from that, and it's fascinating to me how much people in general, specifically in this movie, politicians will bend their moral code to get fucking elected.
Yeah.
To get a vote.
Okay, this isn't anything new to me. I do think politicians twist their vote for the vote, but anyone trying to win an election is going to do that. You can't be surprised. Joe Biden, if he did not pick a black woman as his VP today, holy mother, he would have got pooped on, lost tons of votes.
People are
Because black women change the whole concept. So, you know Candace Owens, she's a conservative woman. She's going to run for president. And she is the Democrats' biggest threat. A black woman conservative is their biggest threat right now. That's exactly what they need. A black woman conservative is what Trump needs. And I hope to goodness maybe he just might not get one, because if he uses it for his own agenda, I'm going to be pissed. It makes sense though. It makes sense. But using the color of someone's skin, or POC, is smart, but it sucks that people are using it for their own agenda. So I agree with Logan Paul. I do think it comes more from the left, but I'm trying not to be biased.
like I hate to say this, but I've had this extremely uncomfortable feeling in people this past weekend. I've started to stop.
He said stop. I guarantee he's gonna say hoping in the future of our loved ones.
Believing in humanity because people
I was close.
are so greedy and exercising the worst sides of themselves because they can take advantage of peaceful protests and start looting and rioting, and none of it is right. And I again, I can't believe how many people that I mean, what are some of the groups that are you see at these protests? Like, I want you to elaborate like some of the groups and their agendas when it comes to taking advantage of what's happening in the country right now.
So at the protests, which have turned into riots, or some people call them separate from riots, there are multitudes of groups, and each one of them is to blame for the good and bad that happens. You've got peaceful, good police officers out there, understanding that the country is in pain, standing their ground to protect places, but not pepper spraying citizens at will through the windows of their car, not driving their police cars through barricades where people are standing, not a attacking 90-year-old people that are standing at the bus stop. I saw a cop push a 90-year-old.
I actually saw this
on the
too.
ground.
This was actually, there's a lot of backstory to this. People just generalize it, you know, the media throws out, white man pushed by police, just throws you how bad the police is. You know, actually, Jake, a lot of people actually shit on me at my school for this, but I think one thing you're going to notice is, I don't think, so if, let's look up the autopsy right now. I'm going to put away, I will open a new tab. So, Floyd autopsy. So when the cop who killed George Floyd was put under trial, he actually said that he barely put any pressure on George Floyd's neck. And at first I was like, bullshit. That's a lie. Like, you killed him. And then so I did my research, and you can't really see, but structural gaslighting autopsy reveals George Floyd had. So George Floyd, with the pressure of the neck, oh my god, the knee, with the pressure of the knee, died. He did not die justly. He should not have died, and he should not have died. If he didn't resist arrest, maybe it would have been a different story. The police were actually very kind to him. They offered to roll down the windows when he said he was claustrophobic. His girlfriend, on the body cam footage, they released the body cam footage, is what's new. And it got me thinking, how many times does the mainstream media shove into your face black, hurt, white cop? You know? It's always a white cop and a black guy. You know, and it's like, George Floyd, I don't think was racially motivated. He kept resisting arrest. And his girlfriend on the body cam footage says, stop resisting arrest. You're gonna get yourself hurt. And even his family doesn't like the riots, but he was a criminal. He was high at the moment. He was on drugs, on the autopsy. I wish I could show you guys, but I don't know the technology to show my computer onto the PS4. He was, here, I'm gonna go to the other tab and review this. The conclusion, death due to heart failures from different types of drugs, including meth, crack, cocaine. There's a bunch of other, I'm trying to find good stuff. I don't want to just believe everything I see. But he didn't, I don't think it was racially motivated. He kept resisting arrest. I think that the cop, Derek Chauvin, and all four of them should go in jail. I think Derek Chauvin the most should go to jail. He should go to jail for at least 50 years. Because his knee was a big part to George Floyd's death. But number one, George Floyd's death was not racially motivated. So your Black Lives Matter excuse for, oh, this guy died because he was black, a bunch of crap. He died of heart failure because the knee, plus the drugs he was on, he was high at the moment, gave him heart failure. It wasn't racially motivated. There's no evidence that it was racially motivated. And even the cops said that, it's like, how are you going to believe the cops that killed him? But it's like, at one point you got to realize that not every single black guy that dies to a white cop is racially motivated. Even if the video looks like it. I can't breathe, and they're going, this poor black guy. They offered to roll down windows in the car, and they offered to roll down windows. Doing all this, he felt like, okay, we're gonna arrest you. And so once they put the knee on his neck so he would stop, then that's when he started going. And this is when it gets in the pressure of the knee. If he were not criminal, that is not He was not killed. It had nothing to do with the color of his skin. Breathe. And then the boy was killed because of the color of his skin. Like, it's a bunch of bullcrap. And I know get shade for this a lot. Like, oh, you can't have opinion on this, you're white. What are we talking about? Just look at the facts. White or black, the facts don't change of everything I just said. Oh. I mean, honestly, it's whatever. I think I'm gonna continue the podcast. Boom. Boom.
There are good cops out there who are standing with the protesters, walking with the protesters. So you've got them. You've got the good cops. Then you've got the bad cops. The racist cops. The authoritarian cops.
Which, by the way, are like maybe 2%, 1% of the cop.
Big cops. The brutal police that are the same as the one that started this in the first place. So you've got good and bad cops. You've got peaceful protesters. You've got that are the real winners here. The people marching, the people pushing for systemic change, holding signs, activating the base, talking about what they can do to fix the problem, but still calling for peace. And then you've got hate groups. You've got Antifa. I'm not claiming that they don't exist. I'm not claiming that the anti-fascist group as it exists in America right now is not out there causing problems. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that there's white supremacists out there on the other side. There's Proud Boys. There are multiple groups of people who stand to further divide this country and to drive the dialogue of hate. My issue on Twitter and my issue for the past week has been that our president and other people like him on the other side. Sorry, we got some.
You might have to open specific because I don't really know what you're saying. I think you're saying that they only focus on the 1%.
Can someone check?
But I don't know why that means silence is violence.
Well, I thought that was a jet. I thought the National Guard was coming in for sure. I thought that was a draw. Well, I mean, we've been seeing the helicopters. I've been seeing helicopters do like barrel rolls in the sky. Now I'm exaggerating, but they're taking curves and turns sharp.
Do we want? Are we cutting all this out?
No.
Oh, we're gonna keep it. Okay. You've had people on both sides, hate groups on both sides, pushing their own personal agenda.
Yo, I get this a lot. You know, you're white. You can't have an opinion on what the black community goes through. But can I just express this? The KKK is not the biggest. Like, when was the last KKK meet? You cannot name one. There are white supremacists. But white supremacists are the least problem for the black community. You know what is the biggest black community? Greedy politicians who want to say, oh, there's racial injustice, you know, like stuff like that. Like all this racial injustice just to get the vote. Who just tax our asses and put it towards their own freaking taxpayer dollars in golfing things. They use freaking balls load of money. You know, all BLM donations go to Joe Biden's campaign. What a bunch of bull crap. It pisses me off, bro. Let's continue.
This forward. And you've had pundits on both sides calling out one group or the other. They're all to blame. All of these people are doing a disservice.
You forgot to mention the
and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And then you've got opportunistic rioters and anarchists. I have, since the beginning of this, stood up and been unable to condemn people who have torched symbols of systemic hate. People went and burned down the Sisters of Confederacy building. I applaud you. I applaud you for pulling down the statues of the Confederates who drove division in this country. I applaud you. Even as far and this is where it gets close, as the courthouses that have
Okay, here's my opinion on actually taking down the statues. I promise this is like the last full lecture I'm gonna give on every single thing they say. I know you just kind of want to listen. But, may I remind you, Thomas Jefferson, he was, a lot of these big people that owned slaves are the huge part of how America became. And, like, they wanted to tear down a Lincoln, like, what kind of, you want to fight racism? Don't vote for Joe Biden, who voted for segregation and redlining. That's all I'm gonna say. But your biggest problem, black community, is not white supremacists. It's abortion and black on black crime, which is 94% of the crime done to your own community, is your own people. And you might say, same with white people, but you don't see a lot of people playing victim. Again. Let's continue.
The black community unjustly for decades, that have passed sentences down that were unfair and not justified by law in this country. But when you start burning and looting family-owned grocery stores, personal-owned businesses that people, even black people and Hispanics in LA, have worked their entire lives to get to.
Even white people, like, this is what I don't like, is I know I'm giving a lecture again. They're saying, oh, businesses that are, like, it shouldn't matter what skin color you are. Don't tear down a business-owned company, no matter what color the owner is. I could give a damn if they're black, Hispanic, or white. Don't tear down small businesses, because that doesn't bring justice. You're ruining your own economy. Oh, we built this economy. My ass, you did not. Let's see, we got another comment. That's a toy. What they're saying? What? Oh. Well, not exactly. They're kind of saying black and his. Wait, exactly on what? Oh, oh, yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Let's continue. I know what you're saying, Jake.
Where they can own a business and you break the windows and you steal stuff out of it.
What I was saying is he specified black and Hispanic owned businesses. What I was going to say is I don't care what they're owned by, don't tear down. And I think that's kind of what they are implying. But I guess I understand what he's saying. He's saying Black Lives Matter movement is tearing down black owned businesses. I understand that. But no, yeah, I think he knows.
That is where someone like me, who vastly understands the cause you are after and fights alongside you, that is where I draw the line. When you start to violently attack people, both black and white and Asian and Hispanic, that defend their possessions that they have worked their lives for, that is where I draw the line.
So that's where I'm like, I feel like, I think people taking advantage of the peaceful protests and of the riots, shame on you. That's where I get disappointed in humans. It's a few people who are taking advantage of peaceful protests, and now everyone's paying because of it. It's like, as if this thing isn't muddy enough. You're just stirring the pot more, and it's so unnecessary. It's these anarchists who have these wet dreams about the collapse of society and are finally getting to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Shame on you. And this might be a good segue to talk about Jake, because as we know, he was seen at a looting site. Apparently, he was in Arizona, and to be honest, this one is so fucking hard for me, because I love the kid. I love him. I will always love him, but I don't always like him. He's my brother. He's my family. He's my blood. sometimes I do not
Yeah, dog shit on Jake Paul for doing that, man. Super rude.
understand why he does the things he does, as I'm sure he feels the same way about me from time to time. Why he was inside of a mall that was being looted, I have no idea.
I'll tell you exactly why. Alright? No need. I don't have to tell you exactly why. He knows. He doesn't want to admit it. Actually, I haven't seen this. He might admit it. I'm going to start dogging on him and actually let them talk.
I talked to him on the phone. He was at a dinner that was next to the mall, and although it's very unfortunate, it's also very on brand for Jake Paul to magically be seen at a looting site. Here's what I will say.
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree.
feel like this goes without saying. While I condemn the fact that he was at a looting site and stuck around long enough for videos to be taken where it looked like he was kind of just hanging out, you are a fucking moron if you think my brother was actively participating in looting. He was not actively participating in looting. And again, I'll say this. I do not agree with him being there.
Actually, I agree with Logan Paul on this. I don't think his brother was there looting. Again, I don't care. I think there could have been pictures of him. I think his brother didn't care, which is actually what bothers me, but I don't think he actually was in there looting and stealing. That just doesn't sound like a guy who makes $1 billion a year. Not billion. I'm over exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
I don't know
He
why
doesn't need to loot to make a statement, is what I'm trying to say.
the fuck he was there.
I had a conversation with GP about this. Who talked to Jake about
He
it.
doesn't know either.
From what I heard from GP, said that Jake walked into the restaurant, and then it was a completely different climate when he walked in, and then as soon as he's walking out, the storm had totally shifted, and there were people attacking.
I don't agree with that. What I'll say is this.
Wait, this shit happens fast.
Of course it does. But let me ask you a question. If there was just a relaxed mall, and nobody there, just relaxed mall, do you think Jake would have gone with his camera crew? Well, what would there have been to do there? Why would he go?
They were in Arizona, and they don't know the place, and they were
Oh, so they just ended up at. What do you mean? Where were they at dinner?
I don't know. They're at like a nice restaurant apparently.
Okay.
Yeah,
Here's
close to a mall.
I
and
don't-
happened
I
to be
don't-
in the wrong place, and then all of a sudden the tides changed, and the people started to loot the mall, which is very close by. And you know if you're in a place.
I don't listen. I don't.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
He did not leave. He did not leave. You have to know
Yeah.
if your last name is Paul, and if you're even if your last name isn't Paul, and there's looting and rioting and violence and crimes taking place, remove yourself from the situation.
How many times has Jake stepped up to help?
No, hold on. Wait, back. Let's back up for a second.
Yeah.
Like with the
You
hurricane.
can't stand up to help. Are you
Good deeds
serious?
don't
You'll
Be in
get
the place so
Good
we could-
beat.
Good deeds do not listen. I'm not even saying that he did anything wrong. I'm not saying he was looting. I highly doubt he was looting. The only
I'm
thing
telling you he
he
wasn't
wasn't
looting.
looting.
if you have- if
What
you have a camera-
what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. The trending topics every day over the past week have continued to change. He was trending for a couple hours. Unfortunately, during a time where the topic of white actors, white bad apples coming in and causing trouble during protests is the main stage story right now, when you have a video of a very privileged white person, like the rest of us, but a rich white person and celebrity being in the midst of a riot, that story's gonna catch fucking fire.
Yeah.
It's
Wait a
gonna go
minute.
absolutely crazy. And I,
This is a different discussion. I don't believe in white privilege, but he said privileged rich. How many videos did Jake Paul grind his balls off to get subscribers? YouTube wasn't like, oh, he's white? Well, I don't know how many subs he has, but I'm just gonna guess around 15 to 16 million would be my guess. Huh, he's white? 50 million subscribers. Like, he didn't sit on his butt all day and make a few videos and get 15 million subscribers. And if he did, I never watched Jake Paul, but if he made like 4 videos and got 15 million subscribers, I don't think it's because he was white. And if it was, may I remind you that YouTube is owned by democratic masterminds. Okay, let's continue.
I want to say this. In the end, I would like Jake to figure all this shit out. Like, there's a lot of people out there who wish badly upon Jake. I don't want it.
He needs a active, present, and proactive you on his team, telling him that this is not we cannot be here right now. People are taking videos.
Do you remember last night?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to explain it?
Sure. So okay, last night there a CVS around the corner was getting looted. I go. Okay, shit. It's a mile away from our house. What is the course of action here? Now this is quite literally too close to home. I feel threatened as a protector, as the leader of the house. It is partially my duty to make sure everyone's safe. I go, okay, let's hop in a car. Let's take a drive on the street, see how bad it is. If it's really bad, we can activate appropriately. We can call our guys. We can see if we need to get security for the night. Whatever it is. Mike comes down. I hear a commotion. I hear people starting to activate. Evan texts me and says, get down here right now. They're about to go. My brain says, 8 p.m. curfew? Right now it's 10 p.m. or whatever time it was. Jake Paul seen just hours earlier at the scene of a crime and automatically was found guilty by the court of public opinion whether or not he was doing anything wrong at all. And I went nuts. I activated and told everybody. Mind you, precursor, no cameras, 2 guys in a car, no weapons, just wanted to see. Of course. We're not vlogging, we're not doing anything. I felt unsafe crossing my fingers and hoping that the mob hadn't moved to Encino. And if we go there and the CVS is being burned, destroyed, looted, and everything, now I'm gonna sleep with one eye open, or I might not sleep at all. I felt unsafe not doing that. But Mike made a good point. Your brother just did this, was seen at a looting site, not to fucking move. Yeah, and it's not. I said, you know what? You're fucking right. I'm not going because someone needs to go though. Because my intent, I still felt was right. Protecting the people that I love and the people that I have around me, and making sure that we are not unsafe. But you're right, because you know better. I do not have the leeway of being seen around a looting site, even in the slightest.
Well, it's also
I totally agree with you, Jake. On the Vine thing, you have to go? Sounds good. I was gonna end anyways, because at this time I watch news with my dad, so.
Luckily we have people
see you, Blake.
that we call the
Jake.
that told us that the National Guard